All right, we're back, people. Week
All right.
28 of the Nikki and Fitz podcast coming on strong here to finish the year. We have a few more weeks left, and I think we've been asked to do a show on the draft. Is that right, Nick?
That's right.
It's gonna be great. The
Yeah.
draft, one of my favorite days of the
Yeah.
year. I know
Yeah.
you love it too.
Right.
When they spread it out over like 5 days now or 3 days, whatever it is, it kind of sucks. I liked it when they just kept knocking them out all day,
Right.
every day. It was used to be like 2 days, right? Because it was so long.
Yeah. It was Monday, Sunday, and Monday, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched it every single year. Love the
Right.
trip. Been watching it since it went on TV on ESPN.
Right.
So before we start, I am wearing my Jeff
Charlestown.
Hansen jersey today. And in honor of that, we'll put the trailer on from Slapshot. I don't know if any of you have seen it. Probably one of the greatest movies ever made. Don't you think, Nick?
Right. Definitely. Written by Nancy Dowd, who followed her brother around, who played minor league hockey in 1975.
Okay. Can you see it all right?
Yep. It's a little faint.
What did you say?
It's a little faint. I can't.
Hang on. You having a hard time hearing it?
Yeah.
Let me get the volume up as high as it'll go. It did. All right.
It's wild. All new Coach Reggie Dunlop in the supercharged world. Invite you to meet the crazies who make it that way.
McCracken.
The players.
Tim McCracken, the Hanson brothers, the
Ogie
Syracuse.
Oglethorpe.
The managers.
Stroller Martin as Joe McGrath, the general manager, and of course the Hanson brothers.
All
Hmm.
new.
Well, basically, you just have to see the movie. If you haven't seen it, for all you youngsters out there, however, by whatever means necessary, go see this movie, and you can thank us later.
It's a classic. I
It's a
mean, I
classic.
don't know if you haven't seen it, you haven't lived. I'm wearing the jersey in honor of just the movie. I just thought about it today. I
Right.
wore this jersey for the Notre Dame USC football game too, and the Notre Dame fans went crazy with the Hanson jersey. All right, let's get started here. So this is it for the Pac-10, right? The Pac-12,
Right.
whatever the hell you want to call them now.
Right.
They are officially over, right? This is it.
Right.
We're going to be the Pac-2. Who knows what they're going to do? Great history, great league, right? Great athletes. They've always had great players in that league. Give me a little bit of history and a little color on that league, Nick. I know you watch a lot of Pac-12 games. I do not.
Yeah.
You do.
When maybe like about 20 years ago, they used to have the Thursday. They used to travel on the weekend, so it was the Thursday night Pac-10 game, and then the Saturday Pac-10 game, and the Thursday night Pac-10 game. I used to have a lot of good memories of because it would be cold here, snowing, but out west it would be a little different, and the games were always good. And I guess the history of the league is sort of the history of the great coaches. You had
Yeah,
Pete Newell, who won a national championship at Cal.
right.
John Wooden, who won about 11 or 12 national championships down the road at UCLA.
Right.
Bob Boyd was a good coach at USC. Um, Marv Harshman at Washington. A little bit later, George Raveling, who went from Maryland all the way out to Washington State and built a really good team. One of the things that, now most teams are on TV, but in those, maybe in the 80s, there would be teams in the tournament, good teams that hadn't been on TV all year. And
Right.
Raveling
Right.
had one of those teams. He had Craig Elo and a guy named Steve Harriel against Ralph Sampson's University of Virginia Cavaliers. I think it was Sampson's senior year. And they Raveling lost by about between 5 and 10, but it was a terrific game.
What was that
It's the game
84,
you still
85?
remember. Yeah,
84,
you still
85,
remember
right?
like like 40 years later.
Yeah.
So it's but it grew. They dropped Idaho. I think they dropped Montana. They picked up the Arizona schools in 1978. They picked up Colorado and Utah, I think, within the last 15 years. So but it's sad to see it go, and hopefully, one of the teams from out there maybe Arizona can make a solid run. No,
Yeah.
then you had I forgot, but Lute Olson's team, his great team from 1983 to whatever it was, 2013 or no, maybe 2008 or something at Arizona.
And he
He
won
had
the
a strong
97
run.
championship too.
Yeah,
With Miles
yeah,
Time in that team. That was a good team.
right,
I don't forget about the football side of it either, Nick. John
right,
McKay. They've had some great football teams as well,
right,
and great coaches in football. Dick Vermeil was at UCLA, right?
right. Yeah,
McKay. Who was the coach at Washington that won the championship? Dick James.
John James.
Yeah, James, right?
Yeah.
He was really good. I mean, you had the late great the crazy coach who was at Mississippi State when he died.
Oh, Mike Leach, who was up at Washington State.
Mike Leach at Washington State. Those guys were
Yeah,
huge. You had the guy at Arizona State, the crazy fucker in the 80s.
Frank Kush.
Frank Coach, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I mean, there were some good football teams there, man.
right,
West Coast players can really play, man. I mean,
right.
really, the East Coast never really recruited the West Coast as much in football, but they got some guys. They got some dudes that can run
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
especially Cali. So yeah, I think that's underrated as football conference as well. I do think that they'll be missed. I'm glad the Big Ten got four of the teams. I mean, it's going to really spread thin the Big Ten, but what are you going to do, man? They're
right,
all chasing the dollars, right? And the dollars are there in the Big Ten. The Pac-12 had run out of money, I guess.
right.
Um, so sad to see it go, but things move on. Money always rules the day. All right, what about Caitlin Clark? Takes down Pistol Pete, right?
Yeah, she did it. I mean, you tip your hat to her. She broke a record that was over 50 years old. That's hard to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't realize Pete was such a prolific scorer. I know he's a great passer, but he
Right.
also scored the shit out of the ball. I read an article about Pete the other day. One of the guys, he was a counselor on Lefty's camp, Lefty Drizel's camp.
Oh, okay.
And he was the kid, the guy who wrote the article was a camper at Lefty's camp, and Pete was there. And he said he was like a magician with the ball. And he said he was batshit crazy. And then Pete Maravich, an eccentric, right? I mean,
Right.
little lunafish. But Caitlin rolls on, turned pro. She's going to finish this year. Probably going to be the number one pick of the Indiana
Oh,
WMU
definitely. And
franchise.
yeah,
And they'll start selling tickets and marketing her right after the draft her, man. She's I hear her nil money's in the $4 to $5 million range with that State Farm commercial. So
well,
she's
good for
raking
her,
it in.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't begrudge anybody making that kind of bread, and
right,
she deserves it. All right. So I thought maybe we'd talk about all American teams.
right.
Top five best players and the top five best reserves. If I had to make an all-American team this year, I'm obviously a Maryland homer. I've always been a Maryland homer. I
I
think,
am too. Nothing wrong with that. We
yeah,
both are.
I think what Jameer Young has done this year with a team really on his back, and he's the only really legitimate scorer on that whole team. He's averaged, I think, 25 points a game in Big Ten play. I mean, he's been unbelievable. I mean, just undressing people at 6'1" has been incredible. I don't put
Yeah,
him on the first team though, because I don't think he's quite there. But you got Zach Edey, Jamel Sheed of Houston, who's really good.
right.
RJ Davis, Arizona.
I mean,
Caleb,
Carolina.
RJ Davis, Carolina, right?
Yeah,
Caleb Love, Arizona. And then Dalton Necht at Tennessee has been really good. He's a transfer. Caleb Love, transfer. RJ Davis, I don't think he's a transfer. Um, and then the second team, Jameer on the second team. Terrence Shannon, a transfer. Tyler Kolek has been great for Marquette. I mean, that guy
yeah,
is unbelievable. Tristan Newton for UConn has been unbelievable. And then
right.
I put Mark Sears on there because he's averaging 21 points for Bama. They don't play any defense, but he scores. Um,
Yeah, Nate Oates' team.
yeah, I really do think this tournament, it's going to be the upper crust. I could see three number one seeds getting in the Final Four this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's going to be much hairier than that. We'll see.
You think there's going to be a lot of upsets?
I just think it's kind of wide open. I mean, there's no,
I don't. I think
yeah,
there's like 5, 10 really good teams, and then there's a bunch of mediocrity or parity, I should say. It's
you're
not
probably right.
mediocrity.
Yeah,
I just think then there's a bunch of teams that are like, 10-8 in conference, 11-6 in conference. There's just not a lot of really good teams, man. There are the really good teams are really good though, and I think they have a shot. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the tournament's going to start here. The conference tournaments start in earnest next week, and then we got the NCAA the following. So
right,
should be exciting. Another thing that came out, um, EA Sports, who does the video games, for Xbox,
right.
all that stuff, they signed up 10,000 football players and paying them nil money. Pretty interesting.
That's a far-sighted move by them, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that is
somebody deserves credit.
pretty interesting that they did that, man. I mean, in the past, they've used the players' likeness, right, and not given a shit. I guess maybe they paid the schools, right? But
Probably, yeah.
now they're paying the players directly. I don't think it's a lot of money. I think what I read was like, I think maybe $600 a player or something. Wasn't a lot, but
It's money.
it was money, throw in their pockets. Kind of locks down that part of it. So if someone came up with another video game, they couldn't do it, right? Locks them down to their video game, which is smart on their part. Just shows you the kind of money that's out there in sports marketing that these guys have been making it for so long are finally starting to share it with everybody, which is nice. What about
Yeah,
the
definitely.
Dartmouth ruling? What do you think, Nick? Let's talk
You
about
know,
that.
like what you were saying, I think what you were saying is right on the money. This is what we're basically saying is apparently the I think it's the men's basketball team at Dartmouth
Yeah.
voted to unionize. I'm not sure what union they're joining. I think it's a union that's active at the campus,
Yes,
whether
it
it's
is.
the service workers or um,
That's exactly what it
so
is. The service
yes.
workers, the
So
cafeteria workers.
it's never happened before, and it's just we're in a totally new era. I mean, it's totally different than 4 years before the pandemic. 4 years ago, it's a whole new ballgame with NIL and now unions, and I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, are they going to say, we want better health care or more benefits, or
Right.
you know, it, it's something to keep an eye on,
Right now, they're just asking for pay because
right?
they feel like they're employees of the university. Um, what I think, I'm not a positive, but I think the play is here is to end the amateur status in college sports. That's what I think
Yeah,
this is going to, because if this now Dartmouth is fighting them on it. They're fighting on the ruling. They're trying to stop it from happening. Um, Even a school at Dartmouth that their probably athletic revenue isn't over the top, right? I mean, that's not where they're getting their money. They're getting their money from, donations from rich alums.
Right.
They're still fighting it. I mean, because the network, you open up that can of worms, man, of saying our teams are going to unionize. Now they're employees. They it's not just pay, but you're right, it's benefits, it's days off, it's how many hours can you work in the week?
Yeah.
The coach yell and scream at me. Am I going to get in trouble? Is the coach going to get in trouble for cursing at a player? Is this
Right.
considered like a rough work environment? I mean, there's all kinds of
That's not a
issues,
work environment. Yeah.
right? Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? It
Yeah. They
opens
have to
up all
fly to
kinds.
all the games.
Yeah, I mean, I went to a Maryland practice, and Willard, the way he spoke to the players was unbelievable. I could just imagine if I was at my job and someone spoke to me like that, I'd be like, what the hell's going on here, right?
Right.
So are they going to equate it to that right now? If you're a worker, you're an employee for the university, it gets real sticky, man. It gets real sticky. It's something to keep an eye on. But if this is just like the nil thing when it started with a little bubble and then it blew up, just like the legalized gambling starting with a ruling, then it blew up. This is going to blow up into something. There's no doubt in my mind. I
Right.
don't know what. I don't know if they make. I know. Just I always refer to Maryland because I know the Maryland program, what's going on there.
Yeah. 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 You have good
They
insight.
they want to take over all the nil. They want to take over all the paying of the players. They want to take over all that. They don't want the alums or the collectives to do it because they don't want it to be done illegal or done wrong, but they also want to control it. That to me sounds like an employee-employer relationship,
Sure does. Right. I mean, yeah.
right?
Right.
That sounds like a 1099 relationship, independent contractor, or even a W-2 employee. So I we'll see, man. I mean, I think this is huge. I think this is going to be big. I think this could end amateur status in college athletics.
Okay.
I
So,
really do.
hey,
I mean, it's the beginning
right.
of it. Obviously, it takes a while
Right.
to get all this through the courts, but interesting that the vote was 13-2 by the Dartmouth team. All right. So let's talk this time of the year, Nick, to talk about coaches on the hot seat.
Right. Right. Oh,
Who's hot, who's not? And there's a few that are just boiling right now. We've talking about them all year. Kenny Payne at Louisville's surely out, right?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. Well, what happened there. He's been a coach for a long time.
Yeah,
He's been a coach on good teams. I think he's got a good rep, but I guess it just whether he just ran into bad luck or I'm not sure. But yeah, it's not looking too good for the Louisville Cardinals.
he's out. There's
Yeah.
no doubt he's out. And it doesn't seem like a bad guy. He's not an idiot. But
Yeah.
you lose at that kind of level, at that kind of program that basketball means everything.
Right.
It's not a good look. You're
Yeah.
done.
And they con what how would you rate that job? Good job, excellent job.
I would rate it top 20 in the country.
Okay.
Good history, good alums,
Right.
money.
Right.
Nice, the stadium I think is 26,000 seats, isn't it?
I think
24,000.
so. Yeah.
Big stadium. Good nil possibilities there for players. Rich history. I think that's a top 20 job all day. I mean,
I
you
agree.
don't recruit locally because there probably isn't a lot of players locally, but they go in the Midwest, they go out east, they go to the West Coast. They're getting players from everywhere. I think that's a good job, and I do think Kevin Willard will interview for that job, if not take it if it's offered. So
Wow.
mark that. You watch that happen because he's utterly frustrated at Maryland. So we'll see what happens. Jawan Howard at Michigan. The strength coach finally resigned this week. Did you see that?
I did.
After Jawan he was on administrative leave or something. Some of the video and quotes from the players, what went down, how Jawan treated them. I mean, it's hard to fire an alum. I'm gonna tell you right now. Call Georgetown, ask them why they took 8 years to fire Patrick when he was terrible
Right.
right from the. And Patrick cut his teeth in the NBA. I thought Patrick would be a great coach, to be honest with you. I'm
Right.
shocked he was so bad. But they finally cut bait on him. Is it time for Jawan to go, Nick?
I think so. I think, I think that's a pretty marquee job. I
Yeah,
think what you were saying is correct. A lot of guys are going to run to the Louisville and Michigan jobs if they open up,
yeah.
and they probably will open up.
Michigan's a
And
top 10 job.
yeah, I mean, you're great basketball history. Football team just won the Natty.
Yep,
Um, yeah, that's definitely going to be a primo job that a lot of coaches are going to chase.
yep. I agree, man. I agree. I mean, they ran Beeline out because he didn't win the championship, but God, I bet they wish they still had him over there, huh?
Yeah, he was a fantastic coach.
Right, and a decent guy.
Right,
Um, and then I think another guy in the Big Ten that's on the hot seat is Mike Woodson at Indiana. They've underperformed again. And let me just tell you, I was at Indiana this year, and they're rabid. Their fans, they're crazed,
right,
and they love Woody though because he's an alum.
right,
But and they get top recruits. He gets top 10 recruiting classes every year. He's had top 10 recruiting classes. He's had dudes. He's got players. He's putting guys in the NBA. They still can't go more than 16-14, 17-13. That just ain't going to get it at IU. Another
right,
top 10 job, a blue blood job.
right. But
What,
who have
what
been
say
their
you?
their coaches have not been great since Bobby Knight left.
Yeah,
They had Mike Davis,
yeah.
they had Archie Miller,
Calvin
Mike
Sampson.
Woodson.
They ran Calvin out because he got in trouble with the NCAA, but he's a good
Right,
coach. Calvin
right.
Sampson's a great coach. When he was
Yeah,
at Houston. Yeah, they haven't done well. No, they had Tom Crean too. Remember?
yeah,
Who I thought would win there because he's a
right.
nut. And Woody again, no good. And if that job opens up, that's another job you'll get a lot of looks, don't you think?
Yeah, but I mean, let me ask you a question. So, like you were saying, these coaches aren't all bad coaches. Mike Woodson,
No,
Crean. I mean, something's going on there. Nobody's winning.
it's crazy there. It is
Yeah,
crazy. The fans are insane. They still like revere Bobby Knight, and he's been gone for almost 30 years. It's a different kind of animal there, man. It's a different kind of animal. It's a lot like I think like Kentucky basketball or I guess, like Auburn football, right? Where they have
right,
this false expectation how good they should be, right?
right,
And they really have only won once Indiana's won a bunch, but it was mostly under Knight. But they
right,
haven't won shit since the Knight 87 team, right? They haven't won a
right.
championship since the 87 team
Yeah,
with Knights. So I don't know, man. Woodson's a good coach, coaches hard, but not getting enough out of it. I think he might be in trouble too, especially if they have an early exit in the Big Ten. They're not going to get to the tournament then, and he would be in trouble, right? If
right.
if they get popped and don't make the tournament again. Um, the other guy I think is in trouble is Josh Elwright at WVU, the interim coach, the 1 year kid. The Huggins assistant is like now 9-20. I think nine and
Yeah,
21.
he's had a tough run of it.
He has. I mean, he had a mass exodus. A lot of his guys left right when Huggy left. But when you're an interim coach, you got to splash, man. You got to win some games, right? I mean, you're basically playing for your job, and he's 9-20. I think he may be out.
Right.
What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, because Huggy was just there. He was there since about he came there from Cincinnati like in the 90s or late 90s or whatever. He had a long run at WVU,
Yeah,
and they're gonna bring in a top coach. I don't know how good. I think that was a job that Huggins made good. They don't
yeah.
have
It's
much
a
of a
top 50 job. It's not a
yeah,
top 20 job. It's a top
yeah,
50 job. They got good alum, obviously. They got decent nil money. And it's the only game in town. So if you're good there, man, it's like the best job in the country.
Right.
But if you're not good, I guess it can be pretty bad. You gotta embrace that culture there, man. It's a tough culture there.
Yeah.
And Huggins was part of it. I mean, he's a graduate. He's from West Virginia, and he was all in.
Right.
Probably was his undoing was the fact that he's from there, right? I mean,
Right.
getting hammered, driving around a Taylor Swift concert in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So I think he's out too, man. I hate to see it because he's only had 1 year run, but you're an interim coach. There are no guarantees for the following.
Right. Like you said, you got to do great. I mean, you can't, if
Yeah,
you're good, it's not going to be enough.
yeah. You can't just leak in. You got to splash. And then Mick Cronin at UCLA. What do you think about his job this year? He's done a horrible job. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been lately. It's been better. They have
I
to.
think they recruited a bunch of European players, and I guess they just didn't pan out.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Um, you think they stay with him?
Yes.
They're long term committed with him money wise.
I think he likes it there, and I think they like him, so I think they're going to stay with him.
Okay. And then the last guy I brought up is the muscle
Right.
son, Eric Musselman, who's
Right.
had some success. They went to a couple of Elite Eights there at Arkansas.
Right.
And they have great nil, and they loaded up this year thinking they're going to make a run in the portal, and they've been awful. Arkansas
Right.
is terrible this year. I don't know what's going on with the muscle. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a tough spot. I mean, like you said, up in Northwest Arkansas, you got all that Walmart money, and the Fayetteville's, I think, a tougher place. I think they're going to have a short leash for him, so he might be in trouble there. Maybe he gets one more year, but he's really going to have to do well next year.
Yeah, and he's had some players, and
Right.
he's had some real success in the portal because they're willing to pay whatever it takes. That's like an LSU type program. Whatever it takes to win, we don't care. We're paying.
Right.
All right, so let's go over the week last week that was. Nikki, you were 4-5. I was
I,
3-6.
all right, man. I
Terribly
have still no winning record.
below the Mendoza line for both of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We both like San Francisco at home. They get waxed by the Zags. Gonzaga's actually pretty good. San Francisco just trying to get in the tournament. They needed that win too. Providence at home. We both like Providence. Villanova waxing.
Right.
Um, we both like Kansas against Baylor, thinking they're gonna,
Yeah.
they're gonna play well, right? Love self. He's gonna go in there and get him jacked up. Baylor, big time win at home. Um, I liked Wisconsin at home. You liked Illinois. Illinois beat them pretty good. Good call. We both like Kentucky against. No. You liked Arkansas on the road at Kentucky, and Kentucky hung 111 on them.
Yeah.
We both like Oregon on the road against Zona, thinking they're going to play them tough or beat them. Zona with a 20-point blowout. I think they're pretty legit.
Yeah. They also scored 100.
Yep, 103. Right.
Yeah.
Mississippi State at Auburn. We both like Auburn. Auburn won. They're pretty good at home. They're a pretty good team, actually. I'm not a big fan of Bruce Pearls, but they're pretty good.
Right.
And then Iowa at Northwestern. We both like Iowa, thinking Iowa needs to get the win, and they did. They won on the road at Northwestern, who had a really tough game against Maryland. Won that, but they lost at home to Iowa. I think Iowa may be in the tournament now. I like Michigan State on the road. You like Purdue. Purdue beat them. That was a good game. I watched some of that game. Purdue's tough, man. I mean, I hope they make the tournament this year because I think they're due. I mean, the tournament, I meant the Final Four. But this is the year that they got to be all in for the Final Four, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're like, this is it.
Right.
All right, you ready to make some picks this week?
I'm going to try. Yeah.
All right, game one, Kentucky v. Tennessee. Tennessee's a 5-point favorite.
I'm going with Kentucky all the way here.
All right, and I am going with Tennessee. I like them.
Okay.
Texas A&M at Ole Miss. Ole Miss a 4-point favorite.
I'm going with the Aggies.
All right, now we have a problem because I'm going with Ole Miss.
All right.
We've had to. Someone's going to do well, someone's not.
Right.
Arizona -6 at UCLA at Poly.
I'll say UCLA stays in the game.
They've been good, UCLA of
Yeah.
late.
I'll say take the Bruins +6.
I'm going to take them as well.
All right.
Utah at Oregon in Eugene. Eugene's an 8-point favorite.
Utah, I think Utah. I'll take the
The Utes.
Utes there.
I'm going to take Oregon in a blowout. I think the
Okay.
Utes are done. Georgetown at St. John's in MSG. St. John's a 9-point favorite, and I will be at this game. I'm driving to New York this weekend. Sophia got me tickets to the game as a Christmas gift, so I'm looking forward to going on Saturday.
Okay.
12 o'clock start at MSG. What do you think?
Sounds good. Yeah. I'll take the St. John's.
Yeah, I will take.
Red Storm.
I did. Georgetown is terrible, right?
Yeah.
I can't do anything with Eddie Cooley because he just signed a big deal, but man, he's gonna have to revamp that whole roster. UConn as a 7-point favorite at Providence.
You know what? There's no reason I'm going to do this, but I'm going to say Providence. I'm going to take Providence +7.
I'm gonna take
Think they'll
Providence
play
too.
better.
I think they need this win to get in the tournament. I think they're gonna play
Right.
hard. Creighton is a 6-point favorite at Vanilla Nova.
I'll take the Wildcats in Pennsylvania.
And so will I. All right, Red River rivalry, Nick. Oklahoma
So,
in
at
Austin
Texas.
at Texas. 4-point game. 4.5-point favorite, Texas.
I'll take Texas there.
I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Okay.
Kansas at Houston. It's a really tough game here. Houston's a 6-point favorite.
I think 6 is too many points. I'll take the Jayhawks.
And I'm going to take Houston. I think they kill them.
Okay.
Houston really is a tough team, man. Baylor, a 5-point favorite in Lubbock at Texas Tech.
I'll take Baylor. I'll take the Bears. No, I'm sorry. Scratch that. Give me the Red Raiders +5 in Lubbock.
I'm also going to take the Tech.
Okay.
Maryland at Penn State. Penn State's a 4-point favorite.
We got to talk off the side here for a minute. We're Maryland fans, but there's no way we're going to Penn State and losing, getting trounced or anything. Maryland +4, best bet of the week.
I'm also taking Maryland. Even though
I
they
mean,
quit
come
on
on
us,
now, kids.
they quit
Come
on
on.
them this week against Indiana.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Wisconsin at Purdue. Purdue's an 8-point favorite. Whiskey needs to win for their tournament hopes, or they don't
Yeah, I
want to.
take whiskey.
You take Whiskey getting the 8?
Yes.
I'm going to take Purdue. They don't give a shit.
Right.
Illinois, 4-point favorite at Iowa. Another game that has implications, tournament implications.
Somewhere in the Constitution, it has something about never betting on a Fran McCafferty coach team.
You can go with
But
Iowa.
I'll take Iowa.
I will also take Iowa. I hate Illinois.
This is going to end badly doing this, but we're doing it.
Miami at FSU in Tallahassee. Tallahassee's a 6-point favorite.
Both head coaches are older, over 70. Leonard Hamilton and Jim Larinaga.
Yep. Both good coaches, too.
I'll take Leonard Hamilton minus the 6.
I will also take FSU. Miami's kind of
Okay.
quit. UNC at Cameron Indoor at Duke. Duke's a 5-point favorite.
Give me Carolina every which way.
I will also take NC. All
Yeah.
right, we got our picks. So my it doesn't feel like an upset of the week when I say this. People are gonna be like, "Are you crazy?" Maryland was an 8.5-point favorite versus Indiana at home. Maryland's at home. Senior day. They're up 7 at the half. They're up 16, 5 minutes into the second half. I look over at my wife, Shelly, and I say, you know what? I think we may be able to get out of here early tonight. I can't wait, because I like to beat the crowd if I can. I don't want to be in traffic.
Right.
This is a blowout. Maryland never has blowouts. Definitely in conference play, they never have blowouts. I'm like, this might be the first blowout of the year. I can't wait. This is going to be fun. Literally, as I said that, Woody starts screaming at the refs. The game turned, and they came back and beat us by 5, and it was probably more like an 8 or 11 point game. We hit a couple threes at the end to make it close, but we were an 8.5-point favorite, which we all thought was a dirty line. Didn't smell right, Nick? 8.5.
Right.
But when they were up 16, the line probably ran up to like 14. I heard. I didn't bet it, but I heard it ran up to 14. And a lot of people cashed in at that point because then Indiana took over. The team quit, man. They stopped playing defense. At one point, Indiana scored 12 straight baskets in a row. 12 straight baskets. Uncontested, 12 straight. Unheard of for Willard's
Right.
team, who plays a lot of D. I mean, they do play D. They can't score for shit, but they can defend, and they quit and they stopped defending. It was the weirdest senior day ever. It was kind of a morgue. When we walked out, it was so quiet. Everyone was just like, "What just happened? How did we lose that game?" I know Indiana needed that win badly, so good for them to take us out when we showed some weakness. But that was pretty sad to watch, man.
Right.
And then the road trip this week obviously is the Cameron Indoor, right, for UNC Duke.
Right.
I've been to a game there. Have you ever been to a game there?
I've been
Cameron.
to a football game with you there. I've never been to a basketball game there.
Yeah, I went to a basketball game there with a couple of Maryland alums. We sat right behind the bench at Cameron Indoor. So Cameron Indoor is basically a high school stadium on roids,
Right.
small lower level and a very small upper level. Very loud, obviously, bandbox loud. Around the stadium, like the corridors around the stadium is really nice. They've really decorated it up. I mean, it's pretty nice inside. Um, no seats, just a piece of wood with a number on it. It's not really a seat because nobody really sits during the games. You're standing the whole freaking game. And if you try to sit, good luck getting your number, right? Because it's just
Right.
basically like a 2x6 with a number on it. That's your seat. There's no there's no point of sitting down. You don't, because no one else is sitting down. It's very loud. Durham, in terms of a nightlife town, there really isn't much nightlife. Most, I think, the students and the fans go to Chapel Hill, right, Nick? Go to
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going around by the Duke campus. We did stay at the Duke Inn when we were there, which is really nice. Um, there's a golf course on it. The Duke golf course is there. We stayed with the team. And then when we went there for the football game, obviously we tried to stay at ATO House, but
Right.
we did, right? Or did we?
I don't remember where we stayed. It's been a long
Think-
time, but we had a good time. Maryland.
Yeah.
It was Maryland beat Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, the Iron Dukes were celebrated at
Yeah.
halftime.
Right.
We got 8 guys in with one ticket. Remember, we kept passing it back.
That sounds right. Yeah, it sounds like something.
Old guy at the door, you didn't know
Right.
what was going on. We'd flash the ticket and pass it back to the next guy. But that was fun. Great atmosphere. If you ever get a chance to go to a game at Duke, even though I hate them like the worst thing in the world, it's a
Right.
great place to watch a basketball game. And
You
this
you
week,
you still hate them even though we're in a different league now?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The hate
yeah.
never ends. So that's kind of where we're at this week. Any other things you want to bring up, Nikki?
No, I think that's about it. I think we covered everything. It's just we're into early March. We're a week into March on Friday, so we're gonna have tournament games. There'll be the smaller leagues will have tournaments this weekend, and then
Yep.
the big leagues will have tournaments next weekend, and then 2 weeks from tomorrow night, or 2 weeks from tonight, is the night before the tournament starts in full force. So everybody
Right.
get ready.
Yep. Yep. And this weekend there's some pivotal games. Illinois at Iowa. That's a pivotal game that I think, determines who gets in, who gets out. Oklahoma, Texas may be playing for that one of those spots right from the Big 12. Creighton at Villanova, Connecticut at Providence. Even Georgetown at St. John's. St. John's just has a backdoor way of getting in the tournament, but they
Right,
have to beat Georgetown. UCLA has no chance. Ole Miss at A&M, I think they're playing for a spot between them two. So all these games this weekend have a lot riding on them, man. Which is the way you want. The schedulers got
right.
it right.
Amen, brother.
And then the portal, just one last note, the portal for college basketball starts in earnest next week, and it should be pretty wild, especially from the teams that don't make the tournament. Their guys are going to be in the portal early, I think. Right? If your team's not in the
Right.
tournament, you might as well. There's been like 4 or 5 guys already entered the portal, but it starts in earnest next week after the conference championships are over with. All right, man. And the
Right,
firing
you're
of
right. There's
coaches.
some good jobs coming open out there. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the firing of coaches will start happening next week
Yeah,
as well. So we'll see how
right.
it pans out. All right,
All
Nick.
right.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Well, no problem. So our next one, we're going to do a show on Sunday night, following the selection show.
Yeah, so next week we'll do a normal show, right? Then the following show will be Sunday night instead of Wednesday.
Got it.
Yeah, next week
Got
we'll
it.
run
Okay, I was
normal,
confused.
but
Now
the
I understand.
following we'll do a
Thanks for
selection
setting me
Sunday
straight.
show. Yep. All right, man. See you.
All right, take care, sir. Always a pleasure.
Hey, we're also gonna
Thanks.
have some guest pickers, but we're gonna do the guest pickers for the Sweet 16, I think.
Okay.
Not for the initial rounds because I'll be in Peru. All right.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man. See you. Bye
All
bye.
right, brother. Be well.